What's going on, Florida State family? Seminole Nation and the 863 tribe. It's your boy POLK. And I figured I'm sitting here waiting to go to work. And or in about, 10-15 minutes. And I want to give a little quick diagnosis of what I saw. I'm gonna do like an in-depth analysis, breakdown, review, whatever you want to call it, Wednesday of this week. But today I just kind of want to go over it because I rewatched the spring game, and there's some narratives that's kind of floating out there in the Twitter's verse and the FSU fan base, and I kind of want to address some things and just give you my take on what I saw. First and foremost, I thought there's a lot more positives to take away from the negatives. A lot more positives to take away than negatives to take away. And I think we got some stuff to be excited about, maybe a few things to be worried about, but I can't stress this enough. And people don't have to agree, and I don't really care. I cannot stress this enough. This team that you watched is going to be completely different than what we're going to have in the fall. Like, I don't think people quite understand what you watched Saturday and what you're going to see in the fall. So let's break it down. Let's get the obvious out the way, or at least it's obvious to me. I think there's a quarterback battle. However, I think it's pretty obvious to me that once Milton is ready and getting everything clicking, I don't think that the quarterback position is fairly close. And this is not a knock on Travis, who I like. I don't think the quarterback position, again, I don't think it's really a close debate. Let me drink some water here. I don't think the quarterback position is is a close race, man. Milton can just make throws that Travis can't make. And once the playbook's down, once that chemistry with the receivers is intact, he's the clear-cut quarterback, and I don't really think there's much to debate about that. To keep on point with the quarterbacks, it's vital for Jordan Travis to continue his growth, though. Because as we just watched, we don't have a third-string quarterback, guys. Now, Milton may not be... Somebody commented and was like, well, Milton's not injury-prone. He just suffered a devastating injury. Got it. But now that knee is probably more prone to injury in the future. So, you're right. Milton, it wasn't injury-prone prior to the knee. He's probably more likely to be hurt again after the knee. So you need Jordan Travis to be ready to go at a moment's notice. What do we know about Travis? He gets banged up a lot too. We don't have a third-string quarterback. So when everybody, and I was one of them, saying, oh, we should run some packages for Travis, and you just got to get that type of an athlete on the field, and that's a playmaker. If we had a reliable third guy, if Purdy was able to give us anything, which his regression, I don't know if regression is the word I want to use, but his lack of development due to injury is stifling his growth right now. That's the biggest issue with Chuba. His lack of growth, or his lack of development is stifling his growth. So when he does come back healthy in the fall, if he's healthy in the fall, Purdy's going to be at square one. Well, Rodemaker, even if he's only at square 2 or 3, that's still better than Purdy right now. Those two guys are they're not really a factor in my opinion. If it gets to the point where we're playing those two guys again, it's going to be a very similar season to what it was last year. However, I honestly believe with Milton Milton's going to really up the ante on that entire offense. I saw enough from throws Milton made to know he's the guy. While I think Travis has grown as a player, he still missed balls that if you're going to be a quarterback and take the next step and want to lead this team on this level, he missed blatant throws that he should have made. One to Cam McDonald and one to, I believe it was Mackenzie Milton down the sideline. I believe that was Milton. But Travis missed a few throws that I was like, Milton probably would have hit those guys in stride. So, speaking of these wide receivers, Malik McClain, man, solid, real good. Got to continue developing, but he flashed out, obviously. Nobody's talking about Brian Robinson enough. That guy, I thought, played a very exceptional game. Shout out to Robinson. Burrell had a nice pass. Notice I haven't talked about these veterans. I've been saying it this entire offseason, and I'll probably keep saying it going into the fall, guys. Your Ontario Wilsons and your Keyshawn Heltons, Jordan Young did not dress out, but these senior, when I say senior, I just mean, upperclassmen wide receivers were a no-show. Pookie had a drop. Ontario Wilson had another drop. 40 years, another one. He had a nice back shoulder catch that he had. It was a back shoulder throw, and he adjusted to it and caught the ball, which was nice. Our young wide receivers are gonna take the mantle, and I'm telling you, do not be shocked if you just don't see a lot of the guys that I think for whatever reason. And again, this is not a knock on a kid, but for whatever reason, Ontario Wilson is a fan favorite. Everybody loves them some Pookie Wilson. I'm fond of the kid and the football player. But as a football player, I've been saying it, and I'm going to continue saying it. Nobody loses sleep over Pookie Wilson. He continues to show why nobody loses sleep over Pookie Wilson. I think he's an effective third or fourth option when a team has to account for Malik McClain. Watch out for when Parchment gets on this team, and Dustin Hill's going to have a lot to say about who keeps their job or not. I'm going to continue riding that until I'm proven differently there. I think that wide receiving core is in good hands going forward. I can get what I can get out of Pookie. I can get that out of Brian Robinson, who's a better football player. So, our young guys' wide receiver room I think is going to be dominated by young guys. And it's great that you have a veteran quarterback like Mackenzie Milton to lead these guys. So I think we're good there. Trayshawn Ward. Shout out to Trayshawn Ward, man. That dude showed me why he earned that scholarship and why they were praising him so much in spring ball. What I like about Trayshawn Ward is he does not go down off of the first or second hit, it seems. Trayshawn Ward played very well. I still think Toafili is the biggest upside of the backs. I think Toafili has the best vision of the backs, the best shiftiness. Trayshawn Ward just runs hard. DJ Williams, again, I said it during the live stream with him. That kid's big enough that whenever you go tackle him, that's a business decision. And I think Corbin's still going to be your lead back because Corbin does a lot. He does a little bit of it all. Catches it out the backfield, blocks, and can run hard between the tackles. We're in good hands. We're in good hands with the running backs. I think we're going to be in good hands with these tight ends as well. They targeted McDonald a few times. Again, Travis missed some throws, but I think they're going to really utilize him more so in the passing game. I wouldn't be surprised to see McDonald kind of spread out wide there. And then let's talk to what everybody wants to talk about. Let's go with this O-line, man. I think the first unit is getting too much criticism. I honestly believe that first unit is getting too much criticism. Did they get beat on some plays? Sure, but they also gave out as good as they got. There's plenty of times where quarterbacks had an ample amount of time in the pocket, where holes opened up for running backs, where linemen got to the next level and put a hat on a linebacker. They're not giving that first unit enough credit. because Jermaine Johnson really stood out and showed that he might be something special come the fall time. Got that. But our best offensive lineman was out of the game. So the guy who would normally have been blocking Jermaine didn't play. You got to take that into some account, that your best offensive lineman, the guy who's probably your starting tackle, didn't play. I think you got to take that into account and understand that, okay, yeah, Jermaine Johnson played well, but our best offensive lineman was out. I think that starting unit is a very solid unit. It's the second unit that scares everybody, rightfully so. However, let's go into context. Let's dig down deeper into that second unit. That second unit was missing Brady Scott, who did not play in the spring. He's probably, if not the best offensive lineman on the second unit, the second best. We already mentioned Love Taylor. Well, how does that affect the second unit? Because Darius Washington would move down to the second unit, and he's probably your best offensive lineman on the second unit. So the second unit was missing Darius Washington and Brady Scott, playing true freshmen in Estes. Oh, and it was missing Chaz Neal, who probably shares up one of those other tackle spots in that second unit. They were playing some walk-on guys on that second unit, and you were playing a guy in Jalen Goss, who they say he's up to 180-something pounds. The dude looks like he's still 170, 160. Dude is extremely too thin to be an offensive lineman, and I think we're at the point where we need to turn the page on Goss ever contributing. And I hate to say it like this, but we need to free up a scholarship, or they need to move him to DN. They need to find a way to either utilize him, whether that's, I mentioned tight end a while ago, but whether it's tight end, move him to the defensive side, I don't know. But Goss is not going to ever give you, I think, what you need to get from him, because he just doesn't seem like he can gain any weight. Lloyd Willis, I thought, was the best, I think by far the best offensive lineman on that second unit. So much so, they gave him snaps with the first unit. That was intriguing to see. That's very promising to see. As you know, Lloyd Willis was my dark horse going into the spring. So I'm glad to see that he's growing. I still think he's a bit away from actually being a viable starter or competing for a starting spot. But he looked solid to me, especially on the second unit. I thought he was the best guy out there, and he held his own when he competed with the starters. So shout out to Lloyd Willis. And he, again, I say it all the time about just looking the part. Go look at Lloyd Willis. People want to say we looked small. That second unit definitely looked small. One guy that didn't look small to me was Lloyd Willis. Jermaine Johnson. I think as a whole, we're fine. This size thing that everybody's complaining about, get that out of here. I brush it off. I don't see it like that. Now, when you start looking at some of the walk-ons, yes. But again, this is going to be a different team come the fall. We're going to be adding Rod Orr to that offensive line, and hopefully a transfer or two to that offensive line. I'm still going to stand on that and hope that we add that. And if in the case that we don't, you still bringing in Rod Orr, and you're still bringing in three guys. I think three important guys, and Love Taylor, Brady Scott, and Chaz Neal, that didn't play at all this spring. That's going to add. Chaz Neal is another guy, man, who looks the part when you start talking about offensive tackles. We're kind of going a little longer than I wanted to, but I mean, that's really what I saw, man. And then Kevin Knowles, shout out to Kevin Knowles, man. Kevin Knowles played very well. I think that, is he going to vibe for some starting position? I don't know, because I thought Jamie Robinson played an extremely good game as well. Brian Robinson caught the one touchdown pass on him, but that's the case where the quarterback just made a better throw than the DB could adjust to. I thought Jamie Robinson was in good position on that play. He just got beat by a better throw, and that's what you want from your quarterback. Overall, man, I didn't see any position group that stood out other than that second unit on the offensive line. I still think there's a little bit to be desired with some of these linebackers, man. I'm gonna watch this thing about 2 or 3 more times and really pay attention to the backers. But at first glance, and then on my rewatch, I paid more attention to the offensive side of the ball and that O-line. On my rewatch, on my next rewatch, I'll pay more attention to the backers. But just off first thought, I wasn't too happy with the way the backers looked. I thought the defense, from a personnel standpoint and lining guys up, looked better than they looked last year for sure. And speaking real quick to that play that Mackenzie Milton was wide open, that wasn't a bust on that. First of all, that was a very well drawn up offensive play. And the defense covered it to about the best they could. That was a bonehead play in man coverage by Jarvis Brownlee, where he's in man coverage on Malik McClain, and for whatever reason, he bails at the last second and leaves Malik McClain wide open. And that's how that play came about. But we'll break down stuff like that on the Hangover this week. But that's kind of just a little quick discussion on what I saw. I think there's no reason to jump off a ledge for sure. And I definitely think there's some things to be excited about. And I also think you got to take everything into consideration to understand that the second unit looked bad, but the second unit was down probably 3 players. I didn't even mention like Thomas Schrader and Zane Herring, who I'd have to go back and watch, but I don't believe Zane Herring played at all. I mean, you're talking about scholarship guys that didn't play, which makes sense why in that second half they did the kind of goofy stuff. Whatever. I wouldn't call it goofy. I mean, they still lined up and played football, but they had people calling the certain plays. And if you watch the second half, that was all walk-ons and stuff on. But that's neither here nor there. We look at things in context. FSU was missing some key players. Key wide receivers that aren't on campus yet. Key offensive linemen that isn't on campus, and 3 of those guys, 3 offensive linemen who are on injuries who will be back for the fall. A lot of reasons to be excited, man. So we're gonna keep climbing. We only got 1 commit, and we'll see if we get any other guys before the end of the weekend. But keep climbing. And overall, it's a spring game. Don't take anything from it, because what you really need to take from the spring game, and I'm going to end this here because we're going a little bit long and I got to go. But what you really need to take from this spring game, if nothing else, Milton's #1. Offensive line can't really afford too many injuries. We got to keep building depth there. And the young wide receivers, the young players in general, the young freshman players, wide receivers, Kevin Knowles, all the transfers seem to have panned out. That's what you need to take. The new blood is taking over this program. Take that. Everything else is going to be a totally different thing come the fall. But that's all I got today, man. Stay classy, Seminoles. It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. And we at you.